Hi, welcome back, and looks like we've entered the second part of the story mode where we're playing as the Empire. And I must say, that's a kind of a nitpick I have with the story. I mean, arguably, I do like how they have one continuous thread following the troop of clones, from episode 2 all the way to the Empire. Anyway, you know what I mean. But anyway, my nitpick is that we don't play as the good guys. Yeah, I wouldn't mind if we played as the bad guys for the prequel era, and then the rebels as the modern era. That would have been cool. Darth Vader again, spelt in a caps lock for no reason. Vader's fist. I would admit that's an odd phrase to use. It doesn't sound badass as much as a crappy innuendo. And of course now we go from clone troopers to stormtroopers. Well, that's a good point, because if you watch the original movies, the soldiers don't seem like clones; they seem like normal people. But I guess the canon explanation is that they stopped cloning after a bit and brought in regular people who couldn't shoot for shit. Yeah, and arguably the clones were a lot more loyal. They betrayed the Jedi, even though they didn't really want to, because they were so loyal to the Chancellor. Naboo, Naboo. What's the matter with Naboo? Naboo, Naboo, Naboo. That sounds a bit silly now. But if anyone remembers Star Wars Episode 1, this was the main setting of that movie. And I guess the idea is that it's meant to be based on Venice, or some European city. And it did look pretty fancy. Ugh. Don't get me started on that. Well, if you wonder why I'm so sort of angry, it's a newly elected queen. That sounds stupid. See, that confused me as a child, because I thought, hang on, she's a queen, but she's elected. And yeah, and trust me, I'm British. I know all about queens. And innuendo, apparently. But anyway, my point is, as a child, when I watched Star Wars Episode 1, I didn't hate it, but it didn't really connect with me. Like, even as a child, before I saw Star Wars Episode 1, I pretty much grew up on like 80s movies and early 90s movies which used special effects. I mean, which used practical effects. So like the over CGI nature of the prequel trilogies, it's always seemed a bit artificial to me. But anyway, that was a problem with Star Wars, and actually all the prequels, too much CGI, not enough practical sets. And I know that, they deal with some sort of fanciful, fantastical landscapes, but, I remember there is a scene in Star Wars Episode 3 where Anakin is talking to Yoda in like a small room, and that's done with CGI. It's just a normal room, but he used CGI to do it. That just seems really unnecessary, but anyway, too much CGI is too much CGI. And I don't have a problem with CGI in principle. It works well if you know how to use it. And even, I'm a huge fan of Pixar, and their CGI looks great. But I think my problem is when it's used as a special effect. When you see like a real person next to something CGI, it makes the CGI thing look fake. Like in an animated CGI movie, everything's computer generated, so nothing looks out of place. But anyway, to talk about Star Wars Episode 1 again, I remember not hating it when I was younger, but I thought it was boring. It didn't really connect with me. And I think the thing was, I didn't really understand what was going on. There was something about a trade negotiation, and they went back and forth, and and little baby Anakin blows up the control ship accidentally. Yeah, even as a kid, I thought that was lame. I want my heroes to kick ass, not do it. Not do it by accident. Oh, my cute little kid. Ooh. Spinning. That's a good trick. And also, I didn't realise what was going on, because it's all based about politics. It's not even that complex, really. It's more confusing. You know, it's not really complex. It's more poorly told. For a start, we're told in episode 1 that planet Naboo has a trade embargo, so they're missing out on supplies. But the planet looks green and lush. It looks like there's nothing wrong with it. And again, I think that's just because George Lucas wanted to show a big fancy city, and didn't really think how this would help tell the story. Yeah, that too.
So far, so good. Now capture the guard post past the embassy. If you need some extra firepower, we've managed to sneak a tank for you at the embassy command.
Yeah, I'm actually going to use the engineer for once.
Wisely.
Now, something I said in the first part was that the engineer, you know, gives vehicles regenerative health. And that's not true. It's only the pilot class that does that. The engineer doesn't do that. But I was saying that, I'm not sure, you know, does the engineer get any benefits from driving a vehicle? You know, is the vehicle more resistant? Does it do more damage? I'm not really sure. But anyway, I piloted the tank with the engineer because it just seemed like the thing to do, really. Now, a pro tip for this mission, it really helps if you can keep hold of this tank. Oh, and I just realised something. The design of this tank is exactly the same as the one on Kashyyyk. It's just used you know, it's just got a different colour. And another thing about tanks is that you can see there's a guy on top, and that's of course enemy AI, and that, yeah, that's a cool feature that your fellow allies will jump into the tank and fire the gun for you.
They're trying to flank us.
And of course, they talk about Star Wars Episode 1, and actually Star Wars Battlefront 1, is they actually had the fields of Naboo as one of the battles, and the Gungans did appear there, which was kind of funny, and you could actually shoot them, and had those blue EMP balls.
Now we must destroy the auto turret grid console.
Speaking of which, those blue balls you see in Star Wars Episode 1, as far as I know, they do actually appear in other games, and they are EMP balls. Balls. I keep saying balls. Hilarious. But anyway, my point is, those bolts do appear in other games, and they are effective against droids, because, you know, droids have a weakness against EMP.
The Queen's personal Jedi bodyguards have broken from the palace. Destroy them.
Again, Jedi's obvious tip is obvious, but keep your distance. And also, I do try and make use of the grenades here, because that's sort of their weakness, again. But, yeah, keep... one hit will kill you, so just keep your distance, keep running backwards. And another good tip is that if you know, I lost the tank just now, but if you still have the tank, use it. You know, because obviously you know, it takes them a while to hack down a tank with their little lightsabers, but yeah, use the tank if you got it. I just realised they're playing the main Star Wars theme as we're doing this, and arguably that could be inappropriate. And hell's yes, I successfully used a grenade for once. By the way, it was really helpful for these Jedi to all stand in the same place. Makes it a lot easier for me to shoot them. Good for you guys. Oh, and that's another thing as well. I thought the Jedis were all dead at this point. You know, but you know, someone will tell me in the expanded universe, even though at this point the Jedi should be dead, there's always a few hanging around. And also in the expanded universe, there's a lot of Sith, there's a lot of Jedi hanging around as well. It's just, but then again, in fiction, that's just the general rule. If you're the last of your kind, you're not. It's like Superman and Goku, who's a Saiyan. You know, if you're the last of your kind, you're not. There's a few of us hanging around somewhere. But anyway, with that, we've successfully crushed democracy. And speaking of which, I think that's why George Lucas decided to make Queen an elected position. Because in the original trilogy, he had a princess because it sounded fancy to have a princess. But when he wrote the prequels, he realised hang on, this is meant to be a republic. I can't have monarchies in a republic. So he made Queen an elected official. You know, you can have a constitutional monarchy, you know.